good day to stay on. Now's your chance.
Hey, what's going down, guys? Jack Reeve, TalkNorwichCity here, back for my second predicted 11 video of the season. This weekend we take on West Bromwich Albion at Carrow Road. Of course, the newly relegated team into the Championship, coming down with parachute payments, etc, etc. We've been there. We know how it is coming down from the Premier League into the Championship. We've done it many times before, and so have West Brom, a club very similar to us in terms of that kind of yo-yo structure they've been in. Certainly, you know, 5-10 years ago, they solidified a little bit, established themselves in the Premier League. Now they've come back down to the Championship, appointed Darren Moore as their manager. I guess a similar kind of appointment to Neil Adams for us. We saw how that worked out for us. Is it going to be a similar situation for West Brom? They certainly haven't started the season convincingly. A Yannick Vilskut goal meant that they lost their first game to Bolton. They drew 1-1 with a fairly good Nottingham Forest side in the week. And they have, of course, just signed a very good player in Dwight Gale on loan from Newcastle. I do also want to quickly mention you haven't got long left to enter your FansBet fantasy football team. There is a £100,000 prize pot. I've got my team. You get yours in. It's free entry for the first 1,000 entries, so be quick. It's filling up really quickly. Head over, links in the description. If you're signing up, put Norwich City as the team you support and TalkNorwichCity as your fans partner. That way there's also Manager of the Month cash prizes for the best performing fantasy football managers. Anyway, let's get into the team for this weekend's game. Of course, it's at Carrow Road, which means I'm going to tinker a little bit with the team, not too much. I'm going to go with Tim Krul in goal. If you've watched my video from yesterday, you would have seen that I was praising Tim Krul. I think he's certainly more convincing than I thought he would be. I knew the pedigree he had about him. I just wasn't overly sure what to think with the complete lack of football he's played in the past 3 seasons. However, after watching him at Charlton, watching him at Birmingham, he's been okay. I think there's more to come from him. I'm still not liking his punching from corners, but I'm sure that will be worked on, and he's certainly a really solid foundation for a Championship side. In at left back, I think this is probably our weakest position at the moment. We've got an injured Jamal Lewis. When Jamal is fit, he goes straight back in. But even so, let's not forget Jamal Lewis is still fairly inexperienced and did really break onto the scene last year. But, you know, there's still work to be done there. We've got James Husband, who, look, isn't the best left back, but can do a job. And I suppose we've also got Marco Stiepermann. Now, I might surprise you here. I am actually going to go with James Husband, solely because he started that first game in at left back. Hopefully he learnt lessons. I was listening to the Pinken podcast, and Michael Bailey raised a really interesting point. And is Farke getting enough out of his players? James Husband was brought in and was probably one of our biggest signings in that first kind of transfer window. Was an established Championship player. However, he's been one of the worst signings we've made. Is that because he doesn't quite fit into Farke's way of playing, and because of that, Farke has kind of shifted him out and doesn't rate him too highly, not giving him the confidence? And is he just not utilising him in the manner he maybe should do? I'm not sure. But at the end of the day, Husband will possibly play a vital role in this squad this season. And if he doesn't perform, it could cost us hugely. So I'm hoping to see better performances from James Husband. The centre-back pairing doesn't change for me. It's Grant Hanley next to Tim Klose. It was interesting to see Christoph Zimmermann's comments, who, by the way, I love Christoph Zimmermann. He was at a Community Sports Foundation soccer camp in the week with a load of kids on their summer holidays. He didn't have to turn up. He did turn up. He sees that as part of his job in terms of integrating himself within the Norwich City football fan community. That's fantastic to see. I love Christoph Zimmermann. He did also say, look, he's not fussed that he's not in the team. He's determined to get back in, but at the moment he sees that Grant Hanley and Tim Klose are the better players, and he's happy to play hard and work his way back in the squad. In at right back, no change either for me. Ben Marshall, who I was really impressed with actually, and I think will be a big player for us this season. That ball into Hernandez for the first goal was beautiful. Because of Hernandez being pushed up so far forwards and really hugging the shoulder of the last defender, it gives Marshall space to run into, and that can only be good. Now, I'm going to tweak the midfield a little. I'm going to put Kenny McLean in there because I really rate him. I really do like him. I think look, he's not a Jonathan Howson type player, but he's the closest we've had since we've let go of Howson, in my opinion. He can really drive forwards with the ball, and we missed that so much last season. We needed a player to take the ball from defence into attack in one fast-flowing movement and keep the play ticking over. We looked a lot more dynamic against Birmingham, and I think that was when the introduction of Kenny McLean came in. I am going to stick with Alex Tete. I think the experience he brings and the defensive solidity he brings is going to be important. Let's not underestimate West Brom here. They are going to be a very sturdy challenge, and with the likes of Dwight Gale, this four-man defence might need some help. Tete's willing to sit deep. He's an athlete. And look, we've got reinforcements. We've got Louis Thompson, who we can bring on. We've got Tom Tribal, who we can bring on. That's pleasing. First name on the team sheet at the moment. Admittedly, this is now the 7th name on the team sheet, but in your head, it's the first name, Onel Hernandez. After last week's performance, he is going to be flying with confidence, and I'm really excited to see what he's like in front of the Carrow Road crowd. We're going to be excited to see him. Let's hope he can replicate his performance that he put in at St Andrews. Now, this is all where it gets a little bit confusing for me. I'm a man who works quite good with symmetry, so not to have two out-and-out wingers on the pitch does, concern me a little, but this is what I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with Moritz Leitner just in front of the midfield 2, so sort of a number 10. I'm then going to go with Pukki just out on the left, not as a winger, but kind of floating in this area here. And then I'm going to go with Jordan Rhodes as the striker. That is 11 players, isn't it? 1, 5, 7, 10, 11. Perfect. I've done my maths correctly. So a 4-2-3-1 essentially, a formation we saw a lot last season. I like Pukki. I like Rhodes. I think they work well together. I want to see Pukki in there. Look, I'm not sure if this is... I'm still not overly sure what our attacking kind of fluidity looks like at the moment. And Dennis Srebeni certainly has an argument for him to be in there. So you could even put Srebeni in instead of Pukki and almost make that a 2 up front, just a direct 2 up front. I don't think that will happen. I think Srebeni will want to be introduced as a substitute. But I'm really liking the balance of this squad. Of course, we've only seen one game and it was a point against a team under a transfer embargo and only just survived in the Championship last season. So this is a really good opportunity to show how far Norwich have come, to show the improvement we've seen under Daniel Farke over the past year or so. And I'm looking forward to it. We have, of course, got options. You could put Tom Tribal in instead of Tete. You could put a Louis Thompson in instead of McLean. You could drop Leitner out and maybe go 5 at the back with a Christoph Zimmermann. I think that would be slightly pessimistic in a Carrow Road game. However, you could also counter-argue that with saying, well, let's keep it solid at Carrow Road for a little while, half an hour, cure them kind of initial nerves, and then start to build into the game, much like we did against Birmingham away from home. I'm fascinated with the way Daniel Farke is going to make this work this season. I think he's got a good squad here. It's how he utilises them. He's got to keep players happy. There's going to be players on the bench that maybe don't want to be. You've even got the likes of Tom Cantwell, who, well, at the moment are in the back of my head, but of course can make a real difference. There's a lot to get excited about. Let me know your starting 11 for this weekend's game against West Brom. I'm really excited for this one. I'm buzzing to get back at Carrow Road. It's been a long while since we've been there, of course, with no pre-season games. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Make sure you sign up for FansBet Fantasy Football. There's not long left. The Premier League season starts this weekend. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.